Good morning, guys. I hope you're all doing okay and staying well and safe. Well, we're on another ride. This time we have a little purpose in mind. So that's Todd up front on his 78, I think it is, 78 Suzuki GS1000. This is Dave in front on his Commando, and I'm on my modern bike, my push-button bike as we call them. This is my 2014 Triumph Thruxton 900, and we're heading due west to the coast. We're going to see a friend of Todd's called Paul, and he has a couple of Nortons that he wants to sell. So we're going to go and take a look at them. It sounds like they're both Commandos, and one might be a Mark III, which is a 1975 model with an electric start. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with my Norton. I just thought I'd come on my modern bike. I haven't ridden it for ages. Actually, it wouldn't start this morning. The battery was dead. So anyway, hopefully this will give it a good charge up. What are we at? I've only done 4,400 miles since 2014, so I should probably ride it a bit more. So we're just going to go along, meet Paul. Haven't met him before, and see if we can look at his bikes, kind of give him like an appraisal of how we might want to sell them, how much they might be worth and so forth. It's more of a direct route, due west straight out of Portland to the coast. We're going to Tillamook, Oregon. Ready to start working on projects again, but while this weather's so nice, I just want to make sure that I get in as much riding as I can. Nice scenery down there. It's a lot nicer now, the traffic's cleared. I'm going to start with a little light lunch, because as you probably know, when you start looking at bikes, time stands still, and before you know it, it's 2 or 3 hours later. So we're gonna eat first. We're gonna get fish and chips. You've got to get fish and chips at the coast, right? And then we'll go over to Paul's place.
Caterham's a piece of galvanized sheet metal
but I sold that.
IndyCar with a bunch of other guys. He built several streamliners, and I only wanted the thing repaired, but he kind of had a standard. It took him 5 years. He didn't work on it the whole thing.
And here's the other one. So now, what we're going to try and do is get this bike through that door and down there.
The light of day.
How long since they've been outside, Paul?
This one probably 2010.
Oh wow, yeah.
And that one maybe 2008. So this is a Mark III Commando. I bought it in Pampa, Texas. It didn't have any miles on it, but it might have had a previous owner. I'm not even certain about that. I've had it since then. I believe that was about 77. Just wanted a Norton since I was 16, reading Cycle magazine, and it was the fastest, best handling bike out there, so I figured it's what I wanted. Put about 50,000 miles on it. Hasn't been trouble free. It has had cam trouble twice. Slightly modified. It's got right now 32 dual Mikunis on it and higher compression and a cam. A few things that I'd like to change. It needs new isolastics. Probably put the 34s on it and clean it up some, but it really doesn't look bad for having sat in the back bedroom for a decade. Phil Radford has sleeved the brake, so it should be working a lot better with that. And I've always put rear sets on Nortons. Sitting on them, the foot pegs are a little far forward for me. The rear set's maybe a little far back, but for me, it's a better compromise. So this bike, it's got I think it's an S cam. It might be an SS, I can't remember. I've got a set of 34 Mikunis to put on it. A lot of people run a single, but to me, I've run a single on my Atlas, but I thought it slowed the bike down a lot. Then my brother bought this one, and this one came from George Gjonovich's shop, HPI, when he was on Garden Grove Boulevard. And it's quite peppy. It's got a HPI cam. I think Norris made his cams, but George designed them. Quite a bit of compression. The mag wheels, that was just something in the 70s people did. It has a rear disc brake conversion that was on it when my brother got it. And he sold it to my other brother. My other brother sold it to my dad, and my dad told me to buy it, so I ended up with it. Still got the HP International. I'm proud to have known George. He was really helpful. I didn't have any money and I didn't know anything, and he made it easy to own a Norton. Showed me everything, let me take his ring compressors home when I did a top end on the Atlas.
Did you choose that color then, Paul? It's a
yeah, since it's been in my family, which would be around 79 maybe. My younger brother bought it. It was a two-tone light metallic brown with a cream color. I think they were both Chrysler colors, and it was pretty. My older brother let it tip over, and when he sold it to my dad painted it in an ugly two-tone brown. I think they were both Chrysler colors, but I was working at a place where I was driving a company car that was a bright green, and I thought, you know, I think that'd look good on my Norton. So a local guy here in Tillamook painted it at the Ford dealer, and I think he did a bang-up job. I made sure he got the pinstripes right, which he did. I'm considering converting it over to standard wheels, which I have over here. They were built by the Wheel Works in Garden Grove on Nutwood, the place that used to be Junkie Nick's, but they bought it from him. And it was a place that George took me to when I wanted to switch my Atlas over to a disc brake. If you've got a pre-Mark III and you see what this hub looks like, you can see that they spent more than a couple of minutes getting the bumps out of it.
Yes.
And stainless spokes and all
They
that.
look great.
I don't know.
Thank
I
you.
might just keep it the way it was when my little brother bought it. These were motorcycles back then. They weren't collector's items, and they weren't treated like collector's items.
No.
And I don't know if I want to turn them into collector's items now. And if you've never seen one, it's a 68 only conical primary cover on it, which when I gotta put a clutch in it, I've got one, but my dad, when it was his, he decided that, well, it must need oil in the primary chain, so he opened it up and dumped a bunch in there and burned the clutch up, and I wasn't able to clean the residue off of it, so I've got a new clutch. And then he insisted he bought me a clutch tool to do it, and it's so darn easy to do it without the clutch tool, but he had his head stuck on that tool, so I got one. But
Terrific.
yeah, they're both been in my family for
Long time.
45 years.
Wow. Amazing.
They meant a lot to me. They still do. That's about it, I guess.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a really enjoyable visit to see Paul. Great to see his bikes. They were in much better condition than I expected, actually. I thought they'd be kind of like basket cases, but they were really good. I mean, obviously not running at the moment, but not far from running. We're heading home a different route, a bit more scenic this time. Todd's right behind me. Dave's up front. I should probably ride this more. It was great and comfy. It's not really a touring bike, you know, more like a sort of a cafe racer, going from bar to bar and posing around town a little bit, but yeah, it's handled really well. It's got plenty of power. It's very smooth. Of course it feels like a new bike, because essentially it is. Dave's bike's done great, as always. It was a nice story, wasn't it, hearing him talk about his long-term relationship